Hello, boys and girls. We've been doing a bit of unusual Christmas shopping. Shopping for information about the Christmas customs in other countries all around the world. We'd like to show you exactly what we've collected. Of course, one of the most exciting Christmas customs in Canada is the Eaton Santa Claus Parade. But before we show you the parade, let's have a look at some of the Christmas customs in European countries by way of drawings. Christmas in England is very much like Christmas in Canada, with one or two differences. On Christmas Eve, the carol singers, or waits as they're called, go around the town singing all the well-known Christmas carols for anyone who cares to listen. The houses are lit from top to bottom as a signal for the waits to stop, and usually they're invited in for family refreshments. Instead of the rush for the Christmas tree at the crack of dawn on Christmas morning, the English children have to wait until after breakfast. They all go to the locked door of a room where the Christmas tree is. Then they open the door, and there's the tree loaded with decorations and presents. Santa Claus himself, of course, originated in Holland. He's known there as St. Nicholas, and he comes to call on December the 5th. He tells the children he'll bring presents the next day, if they're very good. But St. Nick is very frank about things when anyone's been naughty, and sometimes he even carries a switch, just for emphasis. As he leaves, a shower of sugar plums lands outside the front door on a linen sheet placed there to catch them. When the Dutch children go to bed that night, they don't hang up their stockings. Instead, they put their shoes on the table. And next morning, of course, each shoe is filled, and beside each one is a pile of presents. That's a sweet story, isn't it? In France, New Year's is more of a big celebration than Christmas is. But nonetheless, France has always made a great contribution to our Christmas fun. Yes, France is the country of the mistletoe. It grows in great swirls on the trees over there, and I'm sure that the animals and birds of the French woods have no idea that this natural decoration on their trees hangs over doorways in Canada as an excuse for everyone to kiss everyone else an extra time at Christmas. Although the great family celebrations come at New Year's in France, the children have their Petit Noël, or Little Christmas, when their shoes are of more interest to them than they are at any other time of year, because they're crammed with toys and candies. There's a fine Christmas custom in Germany where one of the most important parts of Christmas is the giving of gifts to the poor. On Christmas Eve, the girls between 10 years old and 15 dress themselves in white and go about distributing gifts of food and clothing to people who are less fortunate. And as they walk, they sing the Christmas hymns. And it's not Santa Claus who brings the German children their gifts. No, it's the Christ child, or Christkind, as they call him. And they say he appears in white robes with a golden crown and golden wings. To toss the gifts to the different members of the family, then say goodbye for a year. The tree decorations are different in Germany, too, because you can eat most of them. They're made of kingdom, like our rock candy, or Lübecker marzipan in the shapes of fruit and vegetables. So the Christmas tree is simply scrumptious, whichever way you look at it. Some of the most colorful Christmas customs come from the Scandinavian countries, particularly from the farming districts. They take some of the best sheaves of grain and tie them to a spruce pole on which a large tuft of branches has been left. The idea is that the birds will come to eat the grain and will rest in the branches after their Christmas dinner. In the evening, all the family goes out to see how many sparrows have come to call. And if there are lots of them, it's a sure sign of a good year for crops. They have other interesting traditions in the Scandinavian countries, too. For instance, they hide old brooms at Christmas, just so there isn't the slightest chance that a witch can ride. What's more, just in case any evil spirits should be lurking about, guns are fired to ward them off. The young men who fire the guns walk from farm to farm and are invited in for refreshments, like the carolers are in England. The whole affair is known as shooting in Christmas. So that's how Christmas goes in other countries. And now, let's see one of the most exciting Christmas traditions of our country, the Eaton Santa Claus Parade. Here comes the first section of the parade, and leading it are the two banner carriers, proudly holding aloft a Union Jack and a Canadian ensign. You can't have a parade without music, and what music it is, played by the military bands who are setting the stage with all the favorite Tyrolean tunes. Santa's 50th parade to Eaton's Toyland is heralded by 4 banner carriers with their white and gold pennants blowing in the breeze. Stepping smartly along come these precision-drilled majorettes, 20 pretty marchers all dressed up for this 50th parade with their sparkling white and gold outfits. Something special must be coming. Here are the 2 giant heralds, heralding the approach of the first float in this gigantic Christmas parade. And what a glamorous escort for the anniversary float. 12 candy cane girls who look good enough to eat, marching smartly along in their red, pink, white, and gold outfits. This is Santa's way of celebrating his 50th trip to Toyland, the anniversary float with a giant candle-top cake in the center and Candyland's royalty, the Candy Cane Queen and the Peppermint Princess. With their heads right in the clouds come the colorful, costumed clowns, dancing, laughing, and having the time of their lives as they take part in Santa's parade. There's excitement everywhere. Next are 2 giant jack-in-the-boxes, giant versions of the little toys that Santa has on his workshop shelves. Bands and more bands playing the wonderful Christmas music that keeps everyone marching along. They're happy to be in the parade, happy to be on their way to Tyrolean. One, two, three, four, five, 6 toy blocks marching in a row. There's E for Easter, and A for April, T stands for Turkey and Thanksgiving as well, O is for October, N for Noel, and S for Santa Claus. More and more paraders. This time a group of gaily dressed girls filling the air with music with the bells they jingle. All the way from Animal Land come these 6 teddy bears, all dressed up in red and gold clown costumes they had specially made to march in Santa's parade. Here comes Pumpkinhead, and the famous little bear is riding high in his own helicopter, which is all decked out in Christmas colors. He brought his own escort, too. 4 pretty girls in white ballet dresses, and little elves, too. They're all having the time of their lives as they float through the clouds. Pumpkinhead's attendants march right behind, 20 pretty girls in dazzling red and gold outfits, jingling their Christmas bells as they trip lightly along the way to Santa's throne. Here comes Pinocchio. Pinocchio, you know, is well known to all the little children in Italy, his native land. All the way from Denmark comes Snow White and Rose Red. What have we here? Why, it's Mickey and Minnie Mouse. They're going to be tired mice when they've taken turns pulling the buggy to Toyland. Right from the mountains of Switzerland come these Swiss Tyrolean marchers, one of the most colorful marching groups in the parade. This float must be Santa's salute to Switzerland. There's Heidi in her little home in the Alps, and there's her old grandfather and her friend Peter the goatherd. Why, look, even the goats came with her. Here comes a merry group of parading frogs right from the kingdom of the sea, all dressed up in their Sunday best. We knew the frogs must be here for some reason, and here it is. They came to accompany one of their favorite underwater friends, the Little Mermaid. And here comes the Pied Piper, followed by dancing children. Why, it's just like the storybook as he marches along playing his flute while the mice run ahead. What on earth is coming now? Why, it's the Fat Man and the Fat Woman, the roly-poly clowns that always have such a terrific time in the parade. What's a parade without bands? And here comes one of the finest of them all, with the colorful majorettes leading the way. Listen to the music as they go by. More paraders wearing dresses of rose and gold. Look at their flowing capes and their tall hats. Right out of the days of King Arthur comes this Prince Valiant float. There's Prince Valiant and his loyal knights and armors standing by. Why, King Arthur is there, too. Prince Valiant's foot guards are also there, on the alert, with their armor shining and their swords at their sides. Clowns and more clowns, tall ones, short ones. Then comes a sight for all to see, the glamorous rainbow court, looking just like a lovely rainbow after the rain. Here comes a float of fairy tales. There's a fairy queen in the center, a royal queen surveying all her subjects. Why, Puss in Boots is there, too, with 2 lovely court ladies and even Beauty and the Beast, who've come to help Santa Claus celebrate his 50th trip to Toyland. The air is alive with excitement as the fairy tale float moves by, and the dazzling marchers in their white and pink costumes with the 3-cornered satin hats move merrily by. This section is full of storybook characters we all know and love. First one to go by is Alice in Wonderland and the Mad Hatter, and following right behind 2 other fairyland people, the Walrus and the Carpenter. white and gold heralds are ready to raise their trumpets in salute as 10 white and gold court ladies parade by, their gold fleur-de-lis telling us that a famous French personality is due to arrive. And there she is in all her glory, Cinderella in her golden coach, her 6 white horses prancing ahead of her, and 2 attendants walking proudly beside. Acting as a guard of honor for Cinderella are 18 marchers looking very beautiful in their gold and green satin costumes. Talk about color. Why, it's everywhere. These marchers have chosen as their favorite colors yellow, blue, and gold. And from here, they look just like a sunburst. And speaking of the sun, here comes Sweden, east of the sun and west of the moon, bursting out in all its glory in colors of gold, blue, and silver. Look, there's the sun and sunbeam on one side of the weather house, and over on the other, the moon and stars. Here comes Tom Sawyer's mischievous friend, Huckleberry Finn. Next, another friend from storybook land, Robinson Crusoe, who's certainly a long way from his desert island. And here's the man that the little people of Lilliput looked on with amazement, Gulliver. And here comes Mother Goose, seated high on her golden goose, enjoying another trip down the crowd-lined streets of Toronto. And she has some friends right on her float, too. Why, there are 4 little girls in blue sitting at the front. More greeter clowns and funny old roly-poly fellows dressed in red and white to keep the children laughing. Remember these 3 little fellows? Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod. And there they are in their little Dutch shoes that they dreamt were sailboats. This is one of the most famous of Dutch nursery rhymes. There must be someone special on the way, for he rates a mounted guard, 8 guardsmen with their lances ready and on the alert. And here's that someone special. It's none other than Humpty Dumpty, that fragile fairyland character who fell off the wall. But there he is, all in one piece, perched up high, bright and smiling. And here's Peter Pumpkin Eater and his wife, all very happy in their huge pumpkin. Here's a fellow who must have come a long way for the parade. He's all the way from Mexico. These paraders must be paving the way for the Spanish float in the parade, the story of the unusual little nut tree that the Queen of Spain's daughter came to see. On the float is the Queen of Spain's glamorous daughter, with her 2 Spanish soldiers and 2 ladies of the court. And here is the beautiful Queen of Hearts in her golden coach, drawn by horses in sparkling regalia. Look at the comic nurse who's trying to push these two overgrown babies all the way to Toyland. Let's hope she makes it. In a wintertime setting and led by 10 lovely girls in green and white, we find Jack and Jill, who come tumbling down the hill while 4 little girls in winter costumes look on. Here come more nursery rhymes on floats. The first is an old favorite, Polly Put the Kettle On. And right behind, Jack Sprat and his wife, who, remember, could eat no lean. And, of course, that old favorite, Mary Had a Little Lamb. And another band led by their precision-trained majorettes, who are always one of the big favorites of the parade. Here comes the farmer himself, leading his cow with 7 barnyard characters following in a row. There's a rooster, 2 hens, and 4 ducks. There's a fellow you couldn't mistake. It's Mr. Toad of Toad Hall, another famous fairy tale personality. Of course, it couldn't be a farm scene without pigs, and here they are, cleaned up spick and span for the parade, and with them, 4 more of the farmer's friends, the ducks. This is Santa's 50th parade to Toyland, and we'll bet he can remember the old streetcars like the one you see here. Setting the stage for circus atmosphere is this ringmaster leading his comedy horse. And right behind him, 7 animal blocks right out of Toyland, and more of those very funny roly-poly clowns. It certainly must be circus time, for here come the monkeys and the elephants, all scrubbed and clean behind the ears for this important meeting with Santa Claus. Every circus has its performing elephants, and here are 3 of them putting on a special show for the crowd. Here are the favorites from other parades that we brought back again. The 8 giant Nubians in Oriental large spears with pennants on the end. Here come the jesters, all dressed up in happy Christmas colors of red, white, and green. More banner carriers, and then right behind, the sauciest of all the snowmen. All set to go skating on a Northland pond are these 20 pretty paraders in their dazzling red skater outfits. More drum majorettes in flashing gold and blue stepping out to lead the way for their favorite band. It's a long way from the far north, but the Toyland Express with its brilliantly colored coaches made the trip. Inside are 7 elves from Santa's workshop, and 4 of his clowns came along to be in the parade. And forming part of a walking guard for this Toyland train are 8 gnomes with long beards and red outfits, and with them 4 snowmen who hope the weather will stay cold so they won't melt before Christmas. The parade keeps moving on, paced by the precision marching and music of the bands. Shades of the days of the Indians are these 12 marching totem poles who form a very colorful marching group. And here come 4 elves who couldn't tear themselves away from their Christmas jobs. There's one elf decorating a Christmas tree and another one painting an elephant. One's painting a doll while the other is getting a toy cart ready for Christmas. Out of the igloos of the Arctic North come these 12 Eskimos in beautiful costumes carrying the largest snowflakes we ever saw. They're all part of one of the parade's most spectacular floats, the Frosty Fantasy. This is a fantastic float made of icebergs and 1,000 sparkling snowflakes. A lovely Snow Queen rides high above this Frosty Fantasy, and her 4 silver attendants stand close by. Right behind the snowflake court come 2 more tall clowns who dance and cavort in front of the 9 marching polar bears who came all the way from the north. We must be getting nearer the North Pole where Santa lives, for here are 20 holly girls dressed in green and carrying large holly staffs. And here he comes, it's Santa Claus in a most magnificent and spectacular float. Snow-covered Christmas trees and little houses with Santa sitting in the midst of it all, waving and booming his cheery, "Hello, my dears," to all the little children on the roof. The 8 leaping white reindeer, Dancer, Prancer, Donner, Cupid, Vixen, Blitzen, Comet, and Dasher take him to Eaton, and all the children follow him there. Thousands of children cheer loudly as Santa arrives at Eaton to stay until Christmas. From this day until Christmas, children will shake hands with their hero. And if the excitement of the moment isn't too much for them and they don't become shy, why, they'll tell him all they want for Christmas. And that's one of Canada's Christmas traditions, the Eaton Santa Claus Parade. Goodbye for now. We'll see you at next year's parade.